Mike, I really am not in the mood. Oh, shit!
The Wachowski sisters could have invented bullet time with the Matrix series in modern cinema. It would have been around before, but the tech came in around 1999 for film to be able to sort of capture at that high frame rate and really show us some beautiful scenes. The Matrix 1 was one of the more eye-opening films of that year, and it is still on the calendar for amazing sci-fi. This is 2003's Enter the Matrix. We had the path of Neo as well, and this came through on the PlayStation 2. You play as Jada Pinkett Smith. What did the genre-defining Wachowskis follow up with?
Oh no, don't do this!
I think all of you learned gamers know that it was Max Payne 1 that really shook things up with bullet time.
Hey!
I think we can probably start with our first entry. I think I've crammed around 10 games into this list. Some of them I've doubled up, and I've partnered this alongside Dishonoured because they both seem to have a very comfortable and familiar bullet time system. The focus firing in Prey comes with opening up things within your suits on a perk front, so it's not an immediate advantage, and you also get to blend it with your weapon firing and any other projectile that you've got in your inventory. To not make this list ridiculously large, I've not included stuff like Days Gone or Horizon Zero Dawn, where you do have a minimal amount of slowdown on aiming. Bullet time needs to be one of the main focuses of the game or character build. That also brings me on to the namesake of the video itself, bullet time. The protagonist needs to be firing a weapon. You need to be behind a gun and then implementing time slowdown mechanic, not a time freeze. And Dishonored is very close quarters heavy, but you do have a pistol and it is huge on bending time. That's what it's called, end time bend or bend time end. And I think regulars have probably got a damn good idea about what's going to be number one. This is technically ranked. It's not about the destination, guys. It's about the journey. All right. Up next we have The Outer Worlds, which has got an incredible slowdown mechanic, which is given to you right at the start of the game. It's toggle on, toggle off, you get a little meter, you can increase it, you can get up to whatever you want during said period. That also brings me on briefly to the concept of time slowdown itself within video games. And this one's pretty obvious, but it has to be a single player, offline or non-co-op game in order to enjoy a mechanic like this. Bit of a selfish stance, but I feel it's getting rarer and rarer because AAA games are tending to be more online service directed, so having really cool one-player mechanics like time slowdown feels like it's becoming a little bit more of a rarity.
Find you. Incoming, Captain!
The bonuses at play on Outer Worlds with weaknesses within armor and spots to aim for even combusting objects, it's a very detailed and welcome system for an RPG of its caliber. Next up we do have Zombie Army 4. Not a huge amount of slowdown within this game. It's a perk that's put on a reward system with some of the guns. You get the obligatory breathe out cool move on focus fire with the sniper rifles, and that also goes for Sniper Elite. But this has also got a rip-roaring slowdown system during that aim down the sights gunplay. I will say, whilst we're on the subject of Zombie Army 4, that it's an incredible video game featuring some amazing backward compatibility for the PlayStation 5. It actually runs at a hell of a spec and just kicks out awesomeness everywhere. Each gun tends to have its own sort of slowdown mechanism, the pistol being a very cool Red Dead Redemption nod with tagging enemies and then releasing all of the bullets. There's also a whole load of new free stuff in there. After I've looked at it, 6 months has gone and I bought some of the DLC maps as well. It's a great online co-op experience, up to 4 players, and it's just a damn shame it's not split screen. What a pleasure to get to talk about Robocop Rogue City again. This is on the PlayStation 5 and this run on quality mode, ray tracing everywhere. It's a hell of a pretty game and a very good film license. The slowdown is absolutely crazy, and it's something you can develop and extend, and it also doesn't get given to you at the start of the game, so it's a bit of a liberal moment when you start really mucking around with it and using it to your advantage. When there's huge amounts of people on screen, this game's all about just walking in to the firefight. Because I feel that video games are getting incredibly realistic looking now, having slowdown and seeing the dissipation of objects and wood and concrete, how the particles behave, even the gore is massively increased with a decent bullet time mechanic. And Robocop Rogue City takes full advantage of that, I feel.
Something ain't right.
Yes, Cyberpunk 2077 does have bullet time, and this is an interesting one. I like the idea of it being part of your augments, and you can accelerate it. You can not even develop it at all, but essentially when you're spotted, you get a window of slowdown to actually act, either shoot or get away, but this can be massively extended, and I've seen people just linking it all up so that the game never actually plays in real time at all. Did you see when I threw that grenade into that tunnel, that compacted area? There's going to be a time where smoke and rubble will just blast out of that entrance. Are you with me? Linger a bit. We're getting there. And Cyberpunk now does play like one hell of a good open world video game. All of the vehicles are working, the metro system's there now, and the questing all works. You can go right through that campaign. Like saying that. What a relief that is. I think that pistol's supposed to be the Blade Runner gun. And talking of guns, this is how it works. So the police will also, if they spot you, trigger that move. But if your weapon's away and you're acting passively, you're fine. It's only until you start acting up that things start getting slower.
Terrorist activity detected.
One of the chappies is a victim to an NPC trying to make a quick getaway. You'll see this in a second. Didn't spot that until looking at the replay. The detection is also not an exact science. This isn't something you can toggle on or off. You have to get in the field of view of someone who's an aggressor or is looking for you. So this policeman is clipped a little bit in, so it takes a while for him to actually realise what's going on. This is all very recent footage as well, including that newer patch, and I was going up this hill, the sun's coming down, you see these policemen coming out, look at this smoke, the rays come in, and the way the explosions are handled. I was super impressed. This game looks damn good on that 5 now.
Damn, boy. Damn, boy!
So I think 2 things need to be covered with this section. Cyberpunk is totally working and has got a very cool bullet time system inside it. It's the old crony old daddy Fallout 4. And the new patch obviously for the PlayStation 5. But Coop, I hear you shout, you said time freezing wasn't allowed. Well, that's the joy of Fallout 4. It's technically not a freeze, it's a slow-mo movement still. It's very cool. It's what draws me to the game over 76. And technically 3. We'll have that chat another time. That system does slightly pip all the aforementioned games because of the choice of body part and how much time you actually have. It's unlimited technically. It's just if you can bend that AP, then you can go into VATS. That is a very cool system. You can't overuse it, and if you haven't got it and things get panicky, it's something you desperately miss. It is a battle advantage, and that's one of the cooler aspects of time slowdown in video games. VATS is not only an integral part of the Fallout 4 game model, it's also something that can be developed and meddled around with slightly. I think back to the dissipation topic with the Robocop thing, the gore element really does boost this system within Fallout 4, so it's a great game with one of the best bullet time mechanics ever to be put into an RPG.
Remember, there is only mass, fluidity, incompressibility!
We are looking at GT5's RT mode on the PlayStation 5, and back to our conversation with the Outer Worlds and single player games being able to have a decent bullet time in them. The single player mode of GT5 is the only area of the game that possesses it due to the online just not working if that mechanic was put in. Some people may have not even played that single player content and realised that GTA 5 has an amazing bullet time system put in it via the characters. They have their different nuances with how it works. It's Michael that's the most interest to me because his is all about being outside of a vehicle and being able to slow down the actual gunplay. But you do have different directions with slowdown on the drive-in. Franklin. The game still looks so great. I wasn't over the moon with having to pay for a PlayStation 5 version of this, but once you get it under your belt and go through everything, particularly on that single player, not hassled by randoms with RPGs, you can really soak it all up. But when the combat kicks in and when things slow down, that's where you see a lot of improvements, both on Shockwave with explosions and just basic fire mechanics looking loads better.
Suspect last seen,
You're dead!
metallic red sports car.
The ragdoll and NPC animations on the police or pedestrians is market leading. You only got to go back to Cyberpunk and look at how generic a lot of the frightened NPCs are in the city. This is just incredible stuff. Being so old and still holding up like this, it's just a pleasure to play still.
Eyes on the target.
Some of the animations on people dying are so good that you genuinely feel remorse. That's how you know a game has taken the time to make sure everything looks correct. And talking of correct looking, getting that grenade launcher out, that's where it's at. There's actually no UI on screen. I have it flush because I'm capturing for the game for another video. I'm kind of doing a deep dive, a goodbye almost to this genre. It's going to be crazy seeing a new GTA. You would normally see a yellow bar and a blue bar for your armor, and you can replenish, I think, with soft drinks when you're low on the old Deadeye. And talking of Deadeye, you probably know what game is coming up next.
Where'd they go already?
There's so much discussion online at the moment about a current gen Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out, and Digital Foundry have literally just produced a performance review of the base level machine or current gen systems. It's all looking quite suspicious that there could be an announcement. I don't know whether it's going to be a paid version of the game, but even at these lower specs, Red Dead Redemption 2 is just still standing out. I put the review out for the PlayStation 5 version and that Judge Holden Easter egg. I'm always stunned when I look at this game. Even that Ghost of Tsushima, the feet around the horse, they're nothing on this engine. And this is half a decade ago. The Deadeye system on Red Dead 2, on the face of it, does appear quite simple, but it's got some really cool meta to it. You can actually queue up shots. It all depends on how much you've got to use on a meter front, and everything can be replenished with snake oil and eating stuff. Such a colossal game that using this time slowdown on different enemies or NPCs or wildlife depends on the situation. So if you're doing the hunting stuff, then yeah, you do need to go for these red dots to try and drop the animal quickly, but that all changes when it switches over to humans. You can shoot guns out of people's hands, their hats off. It is ridiculously detailed, and you're still probably finding out little things that happen when that meter is switched on. Also the noise and the way it switches the focus, almost like a Kami, the whole palette changes. You get this immediate attention drawing situation where you are timed, your red cross is vivid, everything just is so much better. Using this Deadeye system chases, just like the GTA 5 system would not be there if it was all online, and obviously isn't for some of that content. So we're back to that single player subject. What a gift to be able to explore this wonderful world with such an eye-opening mechanic. My crocodile hunting is horrendous. This is as close as I will go to those things. This guy in the boat, the way it slumps to the side where he is leaning over after croaking it, and also look at the bullet holes at the front of the boat, they're above water, and I'm thinking fire below, see if you can get it to sink. Just never disappoints with its unbelievably good open world mechanics. It is Rollerdrome, and it's in at number 2. This game is half the reason I decided to put all of this stuff together. And guess what? Roll7 are part of the Casualty Studios that took the bullet from Spencer recently, along with Arcane Austin. This is a crying shame. I want you all to download this. It's on Extra. It's also available on Gamepass, I think. You will have a rip-roaring time with it. Absolute second-to-second excellence. So the whole thing is bullet time. You don't want to be out of bullet time at any particular point in the game at all. It's like a comfort blanket. Also, the ammunition revolves around you being a badass on your pair of roller skates, pulling off moves everywhere, linking everything up, which is super important. A smooth flow to this mechanic is definitely the way forward, and it's so empowering when you get it right. And it's difficult, harsh, scores you every single level. I love the retro graphics, cel-shaded, and the levels are hugely vast, full of loads of tricks and areas for you to exploit. On my original review of this, I built it as Tony Hawk's meets Max Payne, and I think that's two combinations that no one could refuse. And having to do this bit without mentioning the next game that's coming up has been really difficult. I feel they're integrally linked, and if you enjoyed the next game coming up and haven't gone to this, then it's right there waiting for you. It's like the next stage for that sort of slowdown mechanic.
Match victory.
You think you might have a problem with this game, you think there might be some issues with you, maybe you're stuck on it, you're caught on it, there's some sort of Daniel Johnston moment. I think if most of my peers didn't agree with me and half the industry just completely worship this game, I would be more worried that I had obsession issues with it. But Vanquish is very much a diamond in the bullet time genre. I think Max Payne 3 will probably be brought up in the comments, and rightly so. That's a very strong game with an excellently detailed bullet time system in it, and also the systems that these two games are on were identical at one point. But that's over on Microsoft, really tied up. You can get hold of this on the PlayStation 5, Steam it runs on, but you don't have a Switch version, which would be a perfect step, I feel. Bayonetta could have also sat quite comfortably at the top of this list. She does have guns, but again it's much more melee focused. I wanted to keep the attention on its sister title because of those ballistics, mechanics. One of the excellent additions to the slowdown on this particular game is that it implements it automatically when you're just about to die. So you get this amazing window to get out of trouble, but normally you just use it to kill everything that's trying to kill you. Also severely punished for overuse or spamming it. You get a section where you just can't access it, and if the game gets hard you really do need sections to escape from a lot of the bullet hell that's coming your way, and that's one of the excellent areas for the slowdown with this, is that you can actually fire at missiles coming straight at you through the air, or even detonate things that are launching out of something that's firing at you. With the closing of Tango and poor Shinji having that rough ride with Hi-Fi Rush and this not even getting sequeled, I just want to keep it relevant, keep talking about it, because you never know who's listening. Talking and listening, if you gave me 20 minutes, owe you a pint. I will see you down there.
Elena, can you hijack this thing remotely?
Negative. The jamming signal is encrypted.
Damn. Guess this one's up to me.
Sam, what are you doing?
Watch and learn.